Well, this is a bit of irony. Us at MedtechVISION again.
Again.
Yeah. Last year, your interview caught a significant amount of attention, and I thought it best to start off with you. So congratulations, you're our leadoff hitter.
Well, thank you. What a privilege to be here, and I'm always so excited to talk to you, Matt. This is going to be a great conference, and it's just topped off by the fact that I get to start my day having a conversation with you.
For the few folks that don't know, this is Dr. Charisse Sparks. The woman is a parfait. There's layer after layer after layer of things that she's done. So let's catch up a bit about this. The theme here of healthcare equity is it's personal.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, like, when you first heard that was what they were going to focus on, what were your thoughts?
You know, there's been so much turmoil recently around this issue. I don't know why. Why is thinking that everybody is the same or more like than not alike is a problem for me. So the fact that we can still have conversations that help enhance that vision, help enhance and bring people together is really, really important. And so the divisiveness in the country, the divisiveness in med device, we have to sometime just sit down and say no more and come together. And so this is a really exciting opportunity to show that we are more alike than we're not alike. And in this forum, where we have women who are also getting to lift their voices, this is a really great place to be today.
Well, I didn't even do this intentionally, but you're actually the ideal person to ask this question. I mean, you were an MD for how long were you practicing?
Almost 20 years.
Okay,
yeah.
So all the more reason. And so when you came in and met a patient, did you see anything other than a patient? Did anything else occur to you, demographically, gender, nationality, religion, anything at all, or did you just see patient?
That's a really great question. I saw a patient, but they didn't always see doctor. So I had to overcome that. There were many times, I did my training in Little Rock, Arkansas, so just imagine that.
Yep.
So as a resident, there was never a single time that I ever walked in the room and I was the physician. So that never happened. But then I got called all the names, the N-word, all the names, until they found out I was their doctor. And then they found out that I was sometimes the only orthopedic surgeon in the hospital to be able to take care of them. And then all of a sudden their tunes began to change. And
it's just a coincidence.
Like yeah. So it's, I don't think it's, my vision is to lead by example. And so had I gone in with a presupposition about who they were, that gave them license to presuppose who I was. And so what I wanted to do was show them that I was going to be the caring, talented physician that they hoped that they would get. And in many cases, that was the case.
It's an interesting lesson in reciprocity. You treat them like a human, and then eventually they wise up and treat you like a human. Okay, I'll take it. What was it like when you were practicing in regards to clinical trials? Because that's a big question about equity in the way that the trials are done. Did you notice that?
Oh, of course. And in many cases, you go back to what you know. And in many of the legacy institutions that are doing clinical research, and let's be clear, clinical research for medical device is kind of new. We haven't always needed evidence to show that our products brought value or that our products were effective in what they did. That's kind of new on the horizon. But if you were involved in clinical trials, what you were trying to do is get the information, get it fast, get it effectively, and get it efficiently and be fiscally responsible. So in many cases that means going back to the same investigators that you knew, going back to the same sites that you knew, because you knew they could get the work done. And now we have to think about that differently, because that left out usually a whole lot of people, because usually those sites were where there was money, not going out and reaching where there was less money or less access and asking people from different backgrounds. So now we have to think about that differently. And that benefits all of us, because now we have not only pharmaceuticals, but medical devices that are now going to be personalized, So every person is a person, not a group or an individual demographic. So it is more important today for us to look past what we knew to going to what we need to learn and what we need to learn and know.
So historically, success begets success. But is that the case here? In other words, if the ROI on women's health shows clearly that there should be more investment, or clinically reaching every underserved population helps with the health of patients in the future, do you think people will begin to see the light? Or do you think it's still going to remain stubborn for the next several years, or we're still going to have to fight the good fight until they finally wake up and realize that what we're saying is right?
Well, when we get women running things and we get people of color running things, yeah, things will change. But that's going to happen slowly because we are not the women or the people of color. We are not running things. We are being seen. We are becoming more prevalent, but we are not the top. We're not at the top of the pile just yet. And so until we can do that, you have to, in this world, I believe, you have to influence from the top. You can murmur and you can shake from the bottom, but you influence and you make change from the top. And so once we get to those upper levels of management and leadership, then yes, then I think you will see big changes. But until then, I think they will be incremental, but I am hopeful that they will continue.
Well, I think remaining optimistic is all that we have left. You can't quit, give up. It's interesting that you say it the way you just did, because this conference is a complete indication of what it's like when women and women of color run something. Because look at what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it was magical last year. So
Yeah.
my expectations are through the roof. I'm curious what your thoughts are when you think of last year, what your expectations are for this year.
Mine is to amplify what this conference is all about. So as I begin my day and as I'm introducing myself to these other amazing women, I'm going to remind them what last year was about. And I'm going to ask them to lift their game. I'm going to ask them to bring something different this year, bring something that from deep within, because that's what I've been doing. I've been on a journey over the last 12 months, just exploring how I could impact in a different way. And can I influence in a bigger way? And that is what I'm hoping that I will touch each one of these women that I meet here today and ask them to do the very same thing.
Yeah, look, the world certainly needs a walking inspiration, and I think, well, sitting inspiration in this particular case, but man, you do what I think mentors need to do, which is to set an example of this is how. When I asked you to speak, there was no hesitation. When I asked some other folks to speak, they're a bit hesitant. I don't know if anyone wants to hear from me. I don't know if I have anything to say, and they get uncomfortable. And instead, you do the opposite. You say, what time? Where should I sit? And I think that is something that people will follow and that will resonate. And the fact that you are so quick to be the voice of not just women and not just women of color, but of everyone in medtech, because this applies to men too.
Yes.
You know, it really is amazing how much of a difference that something like this can make. Thanks so much for being on and setting the tone for the rest of this day.
Well, thank you. And Matt, it's mentors like you that help me feel comfortable to say, yes, I want to join the conversation, because I know that I cannot do this alone. And with friends and influencers like you, we cannot go wrong. It only goes up from here.
Well, that's why they call it a platform.
That's right.
And we're going to do it together.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being on. Dr. Charisse Sparks, legendary status.
Thanks, Matt.